All right, ready to dive deep into becoming a post-production supervisor? We're going to unpack some serious interview strategies today. Using RoleCatcher's awesome insights, we're arming you with the knowledge to really stand out from the competition. Think of this as your interview boot camp.
Yeah, you know what's funny? A lot of people, they don't really get how crucial this role is. It's
Mm.
like the bridge between all those creative ideas and the final product you actually see on screen.
Right. So for anyone out there who's still picturing, I don't know, a dark editing room, someone yelling, cut, let's clarify. What does a post-production supervisor actually DO?
They're the ones who make sure the vision, actually becomes reality. Like they manage everything from editing and sound mixing to visual effects and even getting the finished product out there
So
distributed.
it's all about bringing all those different pieces together.
Exactly. And that means working with everyone. Video editors, sound designers, music editors, even the client themselves. A lot of people skills involved, for sure.
Okay, so let's get into some of these common interview questions. RoleCatcher highlighted a bunch. Let's start with, describe your experience in post-production. Seems simple enough, but I bet there's a strategy to answering this well, right?
Oh, definitely. It's not just about listing out the jobs you've had. They're looking for, like, proof. Proof of your collaboration skills, how you handle deadlines, and of course, your technical chops, with software like Adobe Premiere Pro or Avid Media Composer.
So instead of just saying, I edited videos for X company, what would be a better, more impactful way to answer?
Think about a specific project where you had to work closely with a team. You could say something like, in my last role at company name, I handled the entire post-production process for a series of web commercials. We had to work really closely with the editors, make sure the final cut matched what the client wanted, and of course, super tight deadlines, limited budget. We ended up using both Premiere Pro and After Effects to get those specific visual styles they were after.
Yeah, that paints a much clearer picture, doesn't it? You're showing them what you can do, not just telling them. This is where I think RoleCatcher's AI comes in handy.
Oh, for sure. You can practice your answers with their AI, get personalized feedback, like tailored to the specific job you're going for. It'll analyze your answers, give you suggestions, help you sound confident and ready.
Wow, that's pretty cool, like having an interview coach on demand.
Hmm.
Okay, before we hit the next question, I want to pull in one of the insights from RoleCatcher's guide. They mentioned how this field is like constantly changing, new technologies popping up all the time.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to keep learning. Resources like Post Magazine, industry organizations like the Motion Picture Editors Guild, even just online communities, those can all keep you updated on things like cloud-based workflows or using AI in post-production.
So even if someone's not like a total expert on those right now, just being aware of them makes a difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Shows initiative, a willingness to learn and adapt, which is huge in this industry. Things move fast. Okay, ready for another common question? How do you ensure that deadlines are met?
Ah, yes, the eternal struggle. Time management. It's everything in this role, would you say?
For sure. The interviewer wants to see that you can prioritize, you can anticipate problems, and keep things moving smoothly even when, the unexpected happens, which it always does.
So what's a smart way to tackle this question?
You could say something like, I'm a big believer in planning ahead, like way ahead. I start every project by mapping out every single task, all the deadlines. Then I use a combo of detailed schedules and project management tools like mention a specific tool you use to track our progress and keep everyone on the same page. And I always build in a little buffer time, just in case.
Smart. That definitely shows you're organized, prepared, which I bet is reassuring to hear from someone they might hire. Okay, question number 3. How do you approach problem solving in post-production? Because let's be real, things never go perfectly, do they?
Never. That's where you get to shine, Show them you can think on your feet, get creative. They want to see you handle the pressure and find solutions, even if it means changing the original plan completely.
So how would you structure your answer?
Start by describing your general approach to problems. Like, do you gather all the info first or jump right in? Then give them a specific example. Like, once we had this project, major audio sync issue, just days before the deadline, total panic. But I immediately got the team together, we figured out what caused it, and delegated tasks to fix it, fast. By staying calm, organized, we solved the issue without pushing back the delivery date.
That's a good story. It shows you can handle a crisis.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can give you feedback on how you tell that story. You can practice it different ways and see what sounds best, most confident.
Man, the AI is like a secret weapon. Okay, before we move on, let's touch on the different stages of a post-production supervisor's career. just to give everyone listening a sense of, the bigger picture.
Sure. So you might start as like an assistant editor, then move up to junior supervisor, then eventually become a senior supervisor overseeing multiple projects. But even as you climb the ladder, it's an industry where you never stop learning. Never.
That's good to know. Always room to grow. All right, question 4. How do you manage a team in post-production? So this gets into leadership skills, right?
Definitely. But it's also about understanding the dynamics of a creative team. You've got people who are passionate about their work, often working under crazy deadlines. You got to know how to, foster collaboration, motivate them, create a positive environment where everyone can do their best work.
How would you recommend someone showcase their leadership style in an interview?
Focus on communication, delegation, and feedback. You could say, I really believe in open communication, make sure everyone feels heard, valued. I clearly define roles, give regular updates, and encourage people to share ideas, concerns, whatever. I always make a point to celebrate successes as a team, too.
It sounds like creating that supportive team culture is super important.
Totally. And be ready for follow-up questions like, tell me about a time you had to motivate someone who was struggling.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one to be prepared for.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice those trickier questions and tailor your answers, to different situations.
Okay, question number 5. How do you stay up to date with the latest post-production technology and trends? I think we touched on this earlier, but it's worth diving deeper, especially because things change so fast in this field.
Absolutely. You want to show them you're not stuck in the past. You're actively learning new stuff.
So how do you effectively demonstrate that in your answer?
Get specific. Mention industry publications you read, like Post Magazine or Creative Cow, online forums, courses you've taken, even conferences. You could even mention specific software updates or new techniques you've been learning. For example, you could say, I read Post Magazine and Creative Cow religiously, and I'm always active in online forums where people are talking about new tools and techniques. I recently finished a course on advanced color grading techniques in DaVinci Resolve, and I can't wait to use what I learned on my next project.
It's about showing that initiative and that genuine passion for staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And it's a good opportunity to bring up any personal projects you've worked on, where you got to experiment with new tech.
That's a great point. Personal work can be just as valuable as professional experience. Okay, before we hit the next question, I want to bring up the whole networking thing. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that in their guide.
Yeah, going to industry events, film festivals, those online communities, again, it's all crucial for connecting with other professionals. You learn about trends, maybe even find job opportunities.
It's all about building relationships, keeping your finger on the pulse of the industry.
Yep. And it shows potential employers that you're serious about your career, engaged with the whole post-production community. Which reminds me, they might ask you, what post-production communities or online forums are you part of?
Oh, good one. They might even ask about specific people in the industry, people you admire or whose work you follow.
Right. So be ready to talk about that. Have some names in mind.
Okay, next question. This one's from RoleCatcher's list. How do you ensure that the final product meets the client's expectations? So it's like this is all about client management, right?
It is. Every client is different, has different needs. So you got to show them you can communicate clearly, manage expectations, make sure everyone's on the same page from the beginning.
So in the interview, how do you showcase those client management skills?
Talk about your communication skills, how you ask clarifying questions, your attention to detail. You could say something like, I always start by really digging deep with the client, understanding their vision, their goals, any specific requirements they have. Then I create a detailed plan for the post-production phase, outlining the timeline, budget, and deliverables. And throughout the whole process, I keep the communication flowing. I provide updates, ask for feedback at every important stage. My ultimate goal is to deliver something that not only meets, but exceeds the client's expectations.
Sounds like a very client-focused approach,
Mm-hmm.
which I bet is what they want to hear.
Right. And don't be surprised if they follow up with, tell me about a time a client wasn't happy with a deliverable. How'd you handle it?
Oh, that's a tough one. Definitely need some thought beforehand.
It does. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful here. Analyze your answer, suggest ways to frame it positively, highlighting your problem solving and communication skills.
All right, we've covered a good number of questions. Before we go to the next one, I think it's worth acknowledging this job could be pretty demanding, right?
Oh, it is. No doubt about it. Tight deadlines, long hours, unexpected problems all the time. It comes with the territory. But it's also super rewarding. Seeing a project come together, knowing you were a part of making it happen, That's a special feeling.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance
Hmm.
between the tough stuff and the rewards. And RoleCatcher's Guide had some good advice on avoiding burnout, didn't it?
They did emphasize setting boundaries, taking care of yourself, and having a good support system. They also talked about staying organized, being proactive to minimize stress and those last-minute scrambles.
Good stuff. All right, on to the next question. Describe a time when you had to handle an unexpected problem during post-production. Everybody loves a good story, right?
They do. And this is your chance to show off those problem-solving skills in action. Pick a situation that shows you can think on your feet, make decisions under pressure, and of course, resolve the issue. Could be anything, a technical glitch, a creative disagreement, whatever.
All right, give us an example. A real nail-biter.
Okay, imagine you're working on a project, deadline's looming, and suddenly, bam, a key piece of footage is corrupted. You describe how you assessed the situation, called in the data recovery experts, explored other options, and ultimately found a way to either recover the footage or come up with a workaround, all without sacrificing quality, of course.
Turning a disaster into a success story. I like it.
Right. Shows your resourcefulness, your ability to stay calm under pressure, your commitment to finding solutions.
And speaking of solutions, RoleCatcher's AI is pretty helpful for practicing those. Tell me about a time when questions.
Absolutely. Test different versions of the story, see how much detail to include, and get feedback on how it sounds. Finding that sweet spot between being concise and being interesting.
All right, time for one more question in this part of the deep dive. Let's go with, how do you ensure that the post-production process is efficient and cost-effective? So this is kind of a two-parter.
It is. They want to know you understand the money side of things and that you can balance the creative vision with the budget, being resourceful, strategic, all that good stuff.
So how do you show them you get both efficiency and cost-effectiveness?
Highlight your organizational skills, your ability to plan ahead, and your experience with budgets. Talk about specific strategies you've used, like creating detailed schedules, breaking down tasks, using project management software to track everything.
And of course, clear communication is key throughout all of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Staying in touch with the team, the client, any vendors. That's how you avoid those costly delays and miscommunications. You could say, I'm all about planning and being transparent. I make detailed schedules, break down tasks, and use project management software to track progress and spot potential problems early on. And I believe in regular check-ins with everyone involved, making sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that gives them a good picture of your approach, and it highlights those key skills they're looking for.
Exactly. And don't be shy about giving specific examples. Show them how you've managed budgets and kept projects on track in the past.
Great advice. Okay, that's it for part one of our deep dive into becoming a post-production supervisor. We've covered a lot, from the core responsibilities to tackling some tough interview questions.
And remember, practice makes perfect. Use those RoleCatcher resources, especially that AI feedback tool, to really polish those answers and boost your confidence.
For sure. Join us for part two, where we'll dig into even more insightful questions and explore more career tips to help you land that dream job.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Ready for more interview prep.
Oh yeah, hit me with it. Let's unpack some more of those tricky questions using RoleCatcher's awesome insights.
Okay, let's jump into one that often pops up. How do you manage conflicts within the post-production team?
The dreaded conflict question. I mean, it's bound to happen, right? You've got a bunch of creative people working under pressure.
Exactly. And here, you got to show them you can handle those situations gracefully. Find solutions that work for everyone.
So in an interview, how do you actually show off those conflict resolution skills?
Focus on active listening, staying neutral, and making sure everyone can communicate openly. You could say, I think conflict, when it's handled the right way, can actually lead to better solutions. When people disagree, I make sure everyone feels comfortable sharing their concerns. I listen to everyone's side, try to understand what's really going on, and then guide the team towards a resolution that works for everyone.
Yeah, creating that safe space for those conversations is key.
Right. And be ready for follow-up questions like, tell me about a time you successfully resolved a conflict.
Having a good story ready to go can really make your answer stronger.
Absolutely. And hey, guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice those stories. See which version works best.
It's like having a storytelling coach in your pocket. Pretty cool. Okay, let's move on. Another common question. Describe your experience in managing post-production budgets.
Time to show off your financial skills. They want to see you understand the numbers and can make smart decisions. Balancing creative vision with the realities of a budget.
So what's the best way to talk about that budget management experience?
Be specific. Mention actual projects, the budget sizes, and the strategies you use to stay on track. Like, in my previous role, I managed budgets ranging from, and give specific ranges. I was really meticulous about tracking expenses, negotiated good rates with vendors, and made strategic calls to ensure we delivered high-quality work without going over budget.
I like it. Putting those numbers out there makes your answer more convincing.
For sure. It shows, the financial side of the job. Now, before we hit the next question, I want to mention something from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They talked a lot about the importance of staying organized.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, as a post-production supervisor, you're juggling multiple projects, deadlines, a whole team. Organization is key.
Absolutely. You need systems, or you'll drown. Invest in good project management software, create detailed checklists and schedules, have a solid filing system. Simple stuff, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, staying structured lets you focus on the creative side without getting lost in all the admin stuff.
Exactly. And it shows potential employers you're proactive, detail-oriented, important qualities in this role. Okay, back to those interview questions. This one's a bit of a curveball. How do you handle a situation where a client wants changes that weren't in the original scope of the project?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Managing client expectations, but also, sticking to what's realistic for the project.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. You could say something like, I always try to see things from the client's perspective, understand why they're asking for those changes, then I explain clearly how those changes would impact the budget and timeline. If needed, I'll offer alternative solutions that might work without throwing the whole project off track.
Finding that middle ground where everyone's happy. Easier said than done, I bet.
It is, but that's what they're looking for, someone who can collaborate, find creative solutions.
Okay, next up, a question about embracing new tech. How familiar are you with cloud-based workflows and remote collaboration tools?
Here's where you show you're up to date with the latest trends, willing to adapt.
I mean, the industry is moving more and more towards those cloud-based solutions, right?
Definitely. More flexibility, better collaboration, easier access for everyone. Cloud-based platforms are becoming essential for post-production supervisors.
So how do you impress them with your knowledge of these workflows?
Be specific. Mention platforms you've used like Frame.io, Google Drive, Dropbox. Talk about the benefits like real-time collaboration, version control, being able to work remotely. You could say, I've been using cloud-based workflows for years now. They're so efficient. I'm comfortable with platforms like mention specific platforms, and I love how easy they make collaboration.
Yeah, it shows you're forward-thinking, ready for the future of post-production.
Exactly. You could even mention online courses or certifications you've gotten in cloud-based stuff.
Before we move on, got to give another shout out to RoleCatcher's AI. That feature where it analyzes your answers and gives you feedback is gold.
Totally. It helps you fine-tune those answers, tailor them to the specific job. You can even choose how formal you want to sound, depending on the company culture.
That's so smart. Takes a lot of the guesswork out of interview prep.
For sure. It's like having a personal interview coach right there with you. Okay, let's tackle another common question. How do you prioritize tasks and manage your time when you've got multiple projects going on?
The juggling act, keeping all those plates spinning.
Exactly. But with the right approach, it's definitely doable. You could say, I prioritize tasks based on deadlines and how important they are to the overall project. I use a mix of to-do lists, project management software, and constant communication with my team to stay organized and make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
Being proactive, having systems, that's what it's all about.
Yep. And they might follow up with, tell me about a time you had to rearrange your priorities because something unexpected happened.
Another good one to have a story ready for. Shows you can adapt.
Exactly. And it gives you a chance to show off those problem-solving skills. Okay, we've covered a lot, but before we wrap up, I want to talk about something that's really important. Building a strong portfolio.
Especially if you're early in your career, that portfolio is everything.
It is. Shows off your skills, your experience. Include a variety of projects that highlight different skills, editing, sound design, visual effects, even overall project management. And don't be afraid to include personal projects, especially if they show off skills that are relevant to the job you're going for.
It's all about showcasing your passion, your ability to bring ideas to life.
And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your portfolio and give you feedback. See how effective it is and how well it aligns with your target jobs.
No way. It's like having a personal branding expert.
It can help you identify gaps in your portfolio and suggest ways to make it even better. Okay, ready for the last question for this part?
Bring it on.
It's the one everyone gets a little nervous about. What are your salary expectations for this role?
Yeah, that one can be tricky.
But you gotta be ready. Do your research, have a confident answer.
So what's the best way to handle that question?
Look up salary ranges for post-production supervisors in your area. Use websites like Glassdoor or salary.com. Think about your experience, skills, and the specific requirements of the job. You could say, based on my research and experience, I'm aiming for a salary range of, give your desired range. I'm confident my skills and passion would make me a valuable addition to your team.
Be realistic, but also know your worth.
Exactly. And remember, salary negotiation is a conversation. Be ready to talk about your qualifications and why you deserve that compensation.
Great advice. All right, that wraps up part 2 of our post-production supervisor deep dive. We've tackled some tough interview questions, learned some great career insights from RoleCatcher.
And practice, practice, practice. Use RoleCatcher's tools, especially that AI feedback, to really sharpen your answers and boost your confidence.
Join us for part 3, where we'll wrap up with some final tips and strategies to help you ace that interview and land your dream job. All right, welcome back to the final part of our post-production supervisor deep dive.
We've covered a ton, haven't we? From understanding what this job really entails to nailing those interview questions and even navigating salary talk.
Now it's all about those finishing touches, right? The subtle things that can make a real difference.
Exactly. Think of it like adding that final layer of polish to a film, you know? The color grading, the sound mixing, all those things that elevate the whole experience.
Okay, so let's talk about those final touches. What can candidates do to really leave a lasting impression?
One thing that's super important, it's conveying your passion, like
Right.
really showing them you're excited about this work. Enthusiasm is contagious, and it tells the interviewer you're genuinely interested.
So how do you let that passion shine through, especially when you're probably a little nervous?
Preparation, my friend. The more you practice your answers, research the company and the role, the more confident you'll feel.
And that confidence will just naturally come across during the interview.
Exactly. Another thing is focus on building a connection with the interviewer. Make eye contact, smile, have a real conversation.
Right, it's about connecting as people, not just going through a robotic script.
Definitely. And remember, an interview is a two-way street. It's a chance for you to see if this company, this role, is a good fit for you.
So don't be afraid to ask good questions. Show them you've done your homework, that you're genuinely curious.
And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can even help you with that. Practice different ways of asking those questions and get feedback on how they sound.
That's so helpful. Okay, let's talk body language. A lot of people get self-conscious about how they're sitting, what they're doing with their hands.
Yeah, body language definitely matters. Try to sit up straight, make eye contact, and avoid fidgeting. It's all about projecting confidence and professionalism.
And what about clothes? Is there like a standard dress code for post-production interviews?
It varies, depends on the company culture. It's always smart to lean towards being professional, you know. Business casual is usually a good bet. But if you're not sure, just ask the recruiter or HR. They'll be happy to tell you.
Good advice. Okay, one last tip, and it's one that often gets overlooked. Following up after the interview.
Sending a thank you note is such a simple thing, but it goes a long way. Shows you appreciate their time and reminds them that you're interested.
It's a nice touch for sure.
It is, and it keeps you top of mind while they're making their decision. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of post-production supervisors, let's leave our listeners with some final words of encouragement.
Sounds good. Take it away.
Remember this. You are the ones who bring stories to life. Behind the scenes, your skills and passion are what shape those films, TV shows, all the things that entertain and inspire people.
Yeah, you're making a real impact.
You are. So believe in yourself, prepare well, and let that passion shine through. You got this.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's a wrap on another deep dive. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring.
Good luck with those interviews. And remember, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way.
Until next time, keep diving deep.